There is a bottle sitting in your kitchen right now that the ancient world treated as something close to sacred. They burned it in their temples. They poured it over the heads of kings to crown them. They rubbed it into wounds, into skin, into aching joints. And here is the part that should stop you. Modern science has now found a compound inside that same oil that works on your body the way ibuprofen does. Not a folk belief, a real molecule identified in a laboratory that blocks the very same inflammation pathways as the painkiller in your medicine cabinet. The people who pressed this oil 3,000 years ago had no idea why it helped them. They only knew that it did. They called it a blessing. We call it extra virgin olive oil. And by the end of this, you'll understand why it was worth more than gold to them, and why we quietly forgot most of what they knew. Stay with me. To understand olive oil, you have to understand what it meant to the people of the ancient Near East. The olive tree was not just a crop. It was survival, wealth, light, and holiness, all pressed into one. An olive tree takes years to mature and can live for centuries. There are trees on the Mount of Olives today that may be close to 1,000 years old. So, to plant one was an act of faith in a future you might never see. The oil it gave touched every part of life. It was food, eaten with nearly every meal. It was fuel the lamps that lit homes and temples burned olive oil. And in the tabernacle, God commanded that pure, pressed oil keep a lamp burning that was never to go out. It was medicine, poured onto wounds to soothe and protect. And it was holiness itself. Kings and priests were not crowned. They were anointed, marked with oil to set them apart. The very word, Messiah, means the anointed one. The oil was the sign of being chosen. And the way they got that oil tells you how precious it was. The olives were crushed under a great stone, then pressed, and the pressing came in stages. The first pressing, the purest oil, was reserved for the most sacred uses, the temple lamp, the anointing of priests and kings. The second pressing yielded oil valued for medicine, for healing and treating wounds and easing pain. Only the later, coarser pressings went to soap and everyday cleaning. Nothing was wasted. Every drop had a purpose, ranked from the holy to the practical. There is one place where all of this comes together, and most people walk right past it. On the night before his death, Jesus went to a garden to pray, a garden called Gethsemane. The name is not decoration. Gethsemane comes from the Hebrew Gat Shemanim, and it means, literally, oil press. It was a grove on the Mount of Olives, where olives were crushed under stone to release their oil. So on the night he described his soul as crushed with sorrow, Jesus knelt and prayed in a place whose very name means the press, the spot where the fruit is broken open, so that what is most valuable inside can finally pour out. If a detail that quiet can sit hidden in a single place name for 2,000 years, wait until you hear what scientists found when they finally put this oil under a microscope. If you're finding this as fascinating as I do, take 1 second to subscribe right now. This is exactly the kind of hidden history we bring back to life here, and I don't want you to miss where it goes next. In 2005, researchers studying extra virgin olive oil noticed something strange. There's a peppery sting you feel at the back of your throat when you taste a really good, fresh olive oil, that little catch that almost makes you cough. They traced that sting to a compound and named it oleocanthal. And then they discovered what it does. Oleocanthal blocks the same two enzymes called COX-1 and COX-2 that ibuprofen blocks. The finding was published in the journal Nature. The same throat sting you get from a strong olive oil is, chemically, the same sensation ibuprofen leaves, because the two are doing a similar job. Now, honesty matters here. You would have to consume a fairly large amount of high-quality oil to match a single dose of a painkiller. So, this is not a pill replacement, and no one should treat it as one. But the point isn't the dose. The point is that inflammation, the slow, quiet kind, is now linked by researchers to heart disease, to stiff and aching joints, to a long list of the conditions that wear the body down over decades. And here was a food eaten daily for thousands of years by an entire civilization gently working against exactly that. The European Food Safety Authority now formally recognizes that olive oil's polyphenols help protect the body. The ancients poured this oil on wounds and called it healing. They were closer to right than anyone gave them credit for. So if olive oil is this good, this useful, this proven, why did most of us grow up with a yellow bottle of something flavorless in the pantry, used once a year? The answer is the same story that swallows almost every ancient food. Real extra virgin olive oil is fragile and expensive. The compounds that make it powerful, the oleocanthal, the polyphenols, are delicate. They fade with heat, with light, with time on a shelf. True cold-pressed oil has a peppery bite and a short life. So, as oil became an industrial product, the industry did what industry does. It refined it. It heated it, stripped it, blended it, filtered out the very bite that signals the good compounds are present, and produced something pale, smooth, cheap, and nearly inert in oil that lasts for years and does almost nothing. We kept the name and lost the medicine. Most people have never tasted the real thing. They've never felt that peppery sting and understood that the sting is the point. So here's what the ancients can hand back to you, and it costs almost nothing to apply. Buy real extra virgin olive oil, the words extra virgin and cold pressed on the label. Ideally in a dark bottle, because light destroys it. Taste it on its own. If it has that peppery catch at the back of your throat, the kind that makes you clear your throat a little, that's the oleocanthal. That's the oil doing what it did 3,000 years ago. Use it raw where you can. Drizzled over bread, over vegetables, stirred into a finished dish off the heat, the way it was used across the ancient Mediterranean. Keep it in a cool, dark cupboard, not by the stove, because heat is its enemy. And use it generously and often. The benefit the ancients saw came not from one dramatic dose, but from a little every single day for a lifetime. That was the secret. Not a miracle in a bottle. A small good thing repeated faithfully for years. Because that is really the whole lesson hiding in this oil. We live in a world forever hunting the next supplement, the next extract, the next promise sealed in plastic. And here was something the ancient world understood without a single laboratory. That the olive, crushed and pressed, gave back light for their lamps, oil for their wounds, and a daily blessing for their tables. They anointed their kings with it. They lit the house of God with it. They prayed on the hardest night, in a garden named for the press that breaks the fruit open. They treated this oil as holy, and it turns out the holiness and the healing were, in their way, the same thing. If something here felt a little more real than the history you were taught, don't. Keep it to yourself. Share it with someone at your table who could use a little more of the old wisdom. And if you want to keep walking through the Bible like this, through the presses and the lamplight and the things hidden in plain sight, subscribe to Biblical Footsteps and turn on the bell. Every week, we pull up a chair and look for what most people walk right past. The table is set. Come sit down.